Hello and welcome to another episode of Marvel Canon Madness. My name is Josh. I am your forever friend and creator of the Twist My Arm Network and sometimes the fill-in host for Marvel Canon Madness. Let's be honest, we all share the hosting duties around here and it's fun, right? We talk about Marvel. You guessed it, Marvel Canon Madness. We talk all about Marvel things, whether that be comics, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the TV shows, all sorts of things. We're just a big bunch of Marvel nerds over here. You can find us on Twitter at MCM_pod. On Facebook, just search Marvel Canon Madness. And if you go to twistmyarm.net, you can find all the other shows from the network. I think that's it. I think that's it for that little introduction. So let me bring in the other people for this show because I can't do this myself. There's no way I could do this show myself. I can't even like doing this right now, the introduction, the talking and the stuff. It's already weird enough for me. So I got to have some other people in with me. And first of those people, my co-host, his name is Chip. How are you doing today?
Hey, how's it going, you marvelous monsters? I am doing fantastic. It's a good day. Good day. Sun's out. It's warming up.
Sun's
Hopefully
out, guns
winter's
out.
done. But yeah, got some Moon Knight to talk about. Stoked to break that down. So
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited to just be doing this again. Like it's been a minute since we've had a continual podcast for Marvel. You know, we kind of have been taking a break, and I feel like we've been taking a break all around with Twist My Arm. There's been a lot of different shows that are kind of on little breaks, but this is the first one to kind of come back from those breaks. So it's definitely exciting to be doing it and to be talking about what we're talking about. Like you said, Moon Knight. Super excited. Let's bring in this next guest. He does a lot of things. He's super famous now. Did you know that we do a podcast with a celebrity, Chip? Isn't that crazy?
I had heard such a thing.
Man, it's awesome. But I'm super humbled and just excited to introduce our little celebrity here. His name is Roy. How are you doing, Roy?
Me? I'm a celebrity? I'm internet famous.
Kinda,
No.
man.
I don't know how, but no,
Because you're awesome, Roy. It's because you do a fantastic job with everything you do.
thank you. You humble me. It's in the words of Chip, it's a good day. It's a good day. Yeah, it's sunny out. It's warm. Yeah, we're gonna talk. No, it's a great day. We get Marvel Canon Madness back. I couldn't think of anything better to do than to spend my Monday night with you guys and talk Moon Knight, especially since I don't know jack shit about Moon Knight. So,
well,
hey.
Phil's here. He already says, hell yeah, Roy. Woo! And I don't know anything about Moon Knight either. So this is going to be a very interesting series. We're going to probably learn a lot about certain characters and things that we've never really talked about. Moon Knight, earlier today, I was talking to a friend and I was like, wasn't Moon Knight in Smash Brothers? Nah, that's Meta Knight. I messed that up. So like that's how familiar I am with Moon Knight is not very. But before we go any farther, man, I'm really excited to bring this guest back. He was on what did he do with us? Was it the
Spider-Man episode?
Spider-Man,
Definitely.
yeah.
One of the more
and that was
fun
a great
episodes for
episode.
sure.
Yeah. So we're very excited to bring him back. His name is Cody.
Yo, thanks for having me on again.
Heck yeah, man. How is
Thanks for coming back.
Yeah, Chip keeps asking me to come back on, and I'll agree, and then he ghosts on me. So, yeah, it's pretty good. No, I'm just joking.
That's probably my fault.
No, it's all good.
A lot of like, yeah, let's do an episode, and then actually I'm moving.
If you've ever played Dungeons and Dragons with Chip, that's a fairly common thing.
Eh,
Hey, we're getting together Saturday night. Oh yeah, I had something come up, man.
Shots fired.
some
No,
girl was texting me. Sorry.
I made out with a
Sheesh.
tree because I was drunk. Yeah, no, I
I don't remember
I get
that.
it.
Wasn't that? I feel
That
like
was,
one of our friends did do that. I don't think that was me though. I don't want to bust him out, but like,
I'm pretty sure one of our friends did do that.
I was pretty sober for it, so I know who did it.
I don't think it was me. I feel like it was the other short kid.
What other short kid? You were? Oh no, there is one other short kid.
The really blonde short kid.
The
I
albino.
feel like I don't think that was me. I feel like that was outside of Louie and Steve-O's apartment. And I remember that shit.
That was a long time ago. But we're not here to talk about making out with trees. We're here to talk about how Moon Knight can't make out with anybody because he can't go on dates. But before we get to that, there's a couple cool things that have been announced and have maybe a couple not so cool things that have come out in the last couple months. And the first thing I really wanted to talk about today was Morbius. Have you guys heard of this movie?
Yes.
Has anybody seen it yet?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
So is it as Cody, is it as bad as they're saying it is?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It's
Like-
like
Why don't you give us a quick spoiler-free, 2-minute, 3-minute review of Morbius and let us know what's up.
Just trash. I'm just saying, it's just trash. Like, it's so he just becomes a vampire, and then the movie just doesn't do anything from there. I'm a vampire. Woo.
That's
That's
huh.
literally it. Like, nothing else.
So and I've read some reviews, and look, I love Jared Leto as an actor. I think he's really good. I think he does really good musically. Like he's a very talented human being, but he seems to be like, and excuse my pun, but the kryptonite for comic book movies. Like every time he's in a comic book movie, it just ends up being the worst movie. Suicide Squad, worst DC movie. I mean, and apparently Morbius has garnered some of that traction and become the worst Marvel movie.
Yep.
Other than people are saying it's worse than Amazing Spider-Man 2. Would you say that?
I would absolutely agree with that.
Wow.
I would watch The Amazing Spider-Man 2, the second Thor, and Fantastic Four all before Morbius.
Wow.
Oh man.
And Fantastic Four. That's
Mhm.
even wow.
I watched like 2/3 of Morbius. Like 2/3 of it.
Finish it.
No, I need to finish it still. But yeah, it was not good. Like the plot made no sense. Like it was less a movie and more like a smattering of scenes. Like here's literally the writer's table. Like I feel like they were like, all right, guys, we got X character locked up here, but we need him to go fight this character. How are we gonna do? Let's have one dude conveniently leave his cane behind. Like, bingo. Like, oh my god. And then at one point a character tracks a dude down to go fight him, and then they start fighting, and he's literally like, oh man, I can't fight you. What'd you go find him for? Like what? Like you literally tracked him down to go have a big fight scene, and then you're just like, bro, I can't fight you. Wow. It was.
It just sounds like some lazy writing. Then I mean, geez, some of the reviews Rotten Tomatoes is at 16%, Metacritic is at 36%, IGN is a 5 out of 10. I mean, the audience rating is
they give it that high.
I'm just reading what I'm just reading it.
They've given movies that were good worse reviews.
And from it sucks because I like when Marvel comes out with new shows of different characters that we've never heard of. Moon Knight, for instance. I really, really enjoyed this first episode, and it's a character I've never even heard of, really. I've Like I said, I thought he was in Smash Bros. That's how much I care about him. Like, so and the way that they did it was so good. Like I'm fully like I'm ready for more. Guardians of the Galaxy was another one of those movies where I was like, I don't even know who any of these characters are. I think that comic came out in like 2000s. Like it was a fairly new set of characters, and still what they did with that new set of characters in this universe was so awesome that like nowadays when they come out with something that I don't know the character, if they come out with Moon Knight or something, I'm still sold because I'm like, oh well, these other properties have been really good, so why wouldn't this be good? Now the difference for Morbius is it's made by Sony. It's a Sony interactive production, and they're doing the Spider-Verse. So after reading all these reviews and hearing you guys talk about Morbius, I'm not as excited about this new Spider-Verse anymore. I mean, there's been so many announcements. Morbius was the first one. You got Kraven coming out. You got the Spider Woman coming out here soon. There's a bunch of Spider-Man properties that are about to come out, and it's all made by Sony. They're all doing it on their own. Roy, are you worried about that sort of thing? Like, are you worried that Sony's gonna mess up this whole Spider-Verse?
Yes, like to the umpteenth degree. I said Morbius was going to be a shit movie before it even released because nobody cares about Morbius. And
we could though. We could.
No. I don't see myself caring for Morbius with Jared Leto playing it. And that's me personally, because I don't think Jared Leto is all that great. So that's bias on my part. I don't think the guy, he's an okay actor. I don't think he's a great actor. And I think they could have put someone else with more of a, how do you say this, ethnic tie, or that could play the accent that Michael Morbius is supposed to have. Not we're just gonna put a guy that's vaguely similar to him and let him keep his normal voice.
Where's Morbius even from originally? Because he was from a different country, like with a crazy accent, right? Like from,
I want to say he's like
South America.
It's no, I don't believe so.
That might be actually. He might be on. That might.
I thought he was European.
Yeah,
but
I thought he was like from like somewhere, about like Western Europe or something like that.
Okay. Well, while Chip pulls that up, I mean, or Roy, whatever, but it like you were saying, nobody cares about Morbius, but nobody cared about Guardians of the Galaxy. Nobody really cared about the Falcon. Nobody. There are certain characters that Marvel has made movies or shows out of that people didn't care about, that now they all of a sudden care about them.
He's Greek, by the way.
Greek. Okay. So, I mean, it is really, really disappointing to hear that Morbius is so bad. Because there were some like rumors that Blade might be involved with Morbius, that there might be some sort of tie-in with those movies, or that series. But I don't think Marvel's going to touch anything that Sony makes for the next 5 to 7 years now.
I think they did him a favor by putting Venom in the MCU.
Is he even in the MCU though?
He was in an MCU movie, so technically by that he is. Plus, they tied it with Michael Keaton. However, they want to do that.
Well, and they had that one scene at Spider-Man. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Spider-Man yet. But the one scene at the very end where they left the little piece of the symbiote in this universe. So yeah, technically Venom is in the universe, but it's not the same Venom that we're used to. I really like Tom Hardy as Venom. I really like that character and how he portrays him. So, but again, with Marvel and Kevin Feige, whatever they do with that symbiote, whatever they do with Venom is probably going to be good. Those guys shit gold. Like you can't go wrong with them. Their storytelling and stuff has been top notch. Like even things that should not be good have been good. I would even argue that Thor 2 was a decent movie compared to a lot of other superhero movies, and it still had a fun ride, you know, but it's
How many
just not
times did you
as
watch that
popular.
one?
I own that one, so a lot.
You have? Okay.
Yeah, I like that
Curious.
movie a lot.
All right.
I don't know why. I really did like that movie. I thought it was
All right,
good. I
that's
thought it was
hey.
fun. Like,
Honestly,
but then again, I love Thor. I like Chris Hemsworth as Thor, and I like his character evolution through all three of those movies. You know, I understand Thor 2 was not the best. Obviously,
I feel like
not the best, but I like
Thor was my least favorite Avenger going into Ragnarok, and then leaving Ragnarok, I was like, "Can we get that next Thor movie yet?" Like,
Well, Taika Waititi definitely saved that franchise. I feel like there was a lot that he did with Ragnarok that made it where you're interested again, where you're like, oh, okay, cool. This isn't just a Saturday morning newspaper comic that has too many words in it. You remember Thor back in the day? Like, I remember like getting my grandparents' paper, and there was a Thor comic, like one of the panels from a comic, and it was just filled with so many words. I never wanted to read those, but I digress. So, I mean, I'm still gonna watch Morbius. I might wait till it comes out on like streaming or something. But it's really sad that because I've seen most Marvel movies in the theaters. I've seen most comic book movies in theaters, and Morbius was one that I wanted to go see. But man, hearing people that I know talk about it and reading a bunch of stuff on the internet, I'm like, I don't know if I even want to support that because I don't want Sony to keep making shit movies.
So I want to point this out.
Oh,
because
Phil he's going above and beyond, and he's going to wait till the DVD gets to the library. That's like 6 months after it's even released. That's how much Phil cares.
I do want to say this because generally the targeted audience for Marvel movies are those early teenagers, kids, you know, to middle-aged adults, you know, but a lot of this is pointed at children. My son wanted to go see this. He wanted to. And then his friend Sean just recently went and saw it. And now my son is saying, oh yeah, my friend said it was so bad that, you know, we don't have to go see that one. We can go see something else. And
good.
It's the first time my son is asked not to go to the movie theater to see a movie. So I haven't seen it. I'm definitely probably just going to wait. And I don't even think I'm going to spend the $5 on Tuesday $5 movies to go see this.
If you do, I'll go with you, but only if you go.
You can take it off of my fees to the network if I'm paying for that.
Oh man. Well,
it's not good at all. Like the special effects are so
blurry.
Dumb. They're
I
so
can't
dumb.
see it.
Like since when does Morbius like trail smoke like he's
exactly
Cybot? Like, am I watching Mortal Kombat? Like, what is this?
I honestly thought my eyesight was really bad at one point because there's like so much blur, and I was like, oh wow, maybe I do need glasses.
They kept doing this stupid ass bullet time mode, like where they would slow down for the dumbest shit. Like it's not even slow down so you could really see like the cool thing. It was like, oh no, slow down so you can see that the dude missed him with a claw. Thanks. Like,
yeah. How'd you feel about the final fight scene?
I didn't even get there yet. Oh man, I'll tell you all about it. Oh jeez, you're gonna get some hot takes. Don't worry. Like it's so bad. It's the way.
Follow Chip on TikTok for all your Morbius takes, because it's only going to take 30 seconds for him to do a review. Roy asks, what the hell is Moon Knight? He also says, literally never heard of Moon Knight, and I've been a fan for 40 years. Josh, help me. Roy, thank you for asking. None of us know who Moon Knight is either.
I semi know because he has been in animated shows. Like I know the general basis. Comic book lore wise, no. I only knew there was I knew he had split personalities, but I only knew Mark Spector,
Okay.
and I knew that he got it from some Egyptian god. I didn't know the god's name was Khonshu.
I think,
Till
and
this.
wasn't Moon Knight in like some Spider-Man cartoons?
Yeah,
back
he was
in
in
the
the Amazing Spider-Man. He was
Okay.
also in the Mightiest Avengers, which is a fairly more recent one on Disney.
Okay.
So, or Disney XD.
Disney XD, yeah, the more like preteen Disney.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Okay. So that, I mean, that's what we're here for today, is to talk about Moon Knight. To just kind of, we had the first episode drop last Wednesday, and it's a 6-episode series, so it's not going to be very long. It's going to be very like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where it's just going to be a lot of action the whole time. I think a lot of like just plot. So there's going to be a lot to cover, I feel like, in these episodes, and a lot to talk about, because they're going to fill a lot of information into those 46 minutes to an hour. And this first episode was definitely on point for that. There was a lot going on in there, and it was a lot of fun. But let's before we get too far into that, we have this new segment. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I worked today. I worked early. I got off and I got home and I fell asleep. I had this whole plan to make like some videos and some segment noises and things, but that's just gonna have to wait till next week. I am sorry. I am unprepared today. But our first segment that I kind of wanted to start doing, especially for Moon Knight, because nobody really knows who Moon Knight is, and I feel like nobody's really going to know a lot of the new characters that are coming out for Moon Knight either, because obviously with any Marvel show, they're going to introduce new villains, new side characters, and other people that are referenced in Marvel comics, but maybe not as big. So what I wanted to do was a Marvel history kind of thing, like a Marvel education kind of thing, right? And it's nothing crazy. I'm not about to sit here and make you take notes and ask you, to take a test tomorrow or anything like that. But we just kind of wanted to cover. I know Chip had a couple things to bring up for Moon Knight, and I have this fancy little book here that tells you all about all the different characters from Marvel. So first of all, Moon Knight came out in 1980. His first comic, he was introduced, I believe, 1978, but the first comic that he his very own Moon Knight #1 came out in 1980. It was created by Doug Monk, and it was penned by Don Perlin. First appeared in Werewolf by Night #32. If anyone's ever heard of that, I have not. When the mercenary Mark Spector was left for dead in the desert, he was laid before a statue of the Egyptian god Khonshu, who gave him a chance to redeem himself. Using the identities of millionaire Stephen Grant and the cab driver Jake Lockley, Mark Spector waged a war on crime as Moon Knight. He also appeared in Marvel Spotlight, Spectacular Spider-Man, Marvel 2-in-1, Defenders, and The Incredible Hulk magazine before being awarded his own comic. So he was a side character for sure that it seems like these creators made, and then people probably like got, they started recognizing who he was and wanted his own comic. Phil asks, was a villain in his first appearance? I'm not sure. Do you mean was he the villain? Like you said, like Wolverine was the villain to Hulk.
Yes. Yep, he
Okay.
was.
Who was he the villain to?
Werewolf by Night, who is I don't know. They don't he doesn't get much play nowadays. He's like a dude that becomes a werewolf at night. Yeah.
Makes sense.
You mean like most werewolves? Was his weakness silver bullets?
I would assume so. And he fought Blade, and he
Okay. So it's kind of a Blade thing.
Man thing.
That's incredible. So then 1980, like I said, was the first time Moon Knight came out. 2011 is when Moon Knight got his makeover, and Moon Knight #1 like a reboot of Moon Knight #1 came out in 2011. The critically acclaimed team of writer Brian Michael Bendis and artist Alex Maleev, who revitalized Daredevil and Spider-Woman, took on their next vigilante in Moon Knight. Bendis and Maleev moved the hero to the streets of Los Angeles and examined his multiple personalities, forcing Moon Knight to live with the conflicting personalities of Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Captain America inside his head. So that's really cool. I'm actually kind of interested and I want to read that series because to have, I mean, already with what we're watching, Moon Knight is, something. He's got all these different personalities. And so for him to have the personality of Wolverine and Spider-Man, I think would be a really interesting story. Have you read that at all, Chip? Have you read any of those?
I have not, but Bendis is really good. Like he
Mhm.
writes some really quality comics, so I'm sure they're pretty good.
Yeah. So I'm probably gonna have to start reading those comics just as we're watching this show to get a little more insight on Moon Knight. What did you have? What other info did you have, Chip, for this character?
Well, I do know that they have cast an actor as the character Bushman, who's he's the dude that leaves Spectre for dead in the desert in the comics.
Sounds like a Mega Man enemy. Bushman.
Yeah, well, it's his last name. I should have pronounced it better. It's Bushman, not Bushman. It's Raoul Bushman.
Speaking of that, we got our first ad for manscaping.
Jesus Christ. And then when he scrolls through that phone, the name Duchamp pops up, and that's going to be Frenchie from the comics, his like best friend and partner when he's a mercenary. Basically, at first, it's like implied that he's insane, but then they reveal that Khonshu's real, and he actually is like talking to this Egyptian deity. And then I don't know, they used to call him schizophrenic, but then they like found out more about dissociative identity disorder and kind of labeled him as that instead because he has the different personalities. Roy?
I have a question. Is Moon Knight the Marvel version of Batman?
Yeah, for sure. All day.
Because I thought, like, from the times I've seen him, I thought Mark Spector or Moon Knight was like super rich also.
One of his personalities is Mark Spector's not. Mark Spector's just he's a mercenary. But billionaire businessman Stephen Grant can buy some toys.
You mean our museum curator?
A gift shop of the gift shop? Stephen Grant
of the gift shop, Steve?
Yeah, he's a billionaire businessman in the comics. So we'll see what happens there.
He's secretly the owner of this museum.
So how does Moon Knight actually get his powers? Was it from the Egyptian god? Like the god saved him in the desert and gave him powers?
He dies. Yeah, he like dies on the statue of this Egyptian god, and then he is revived.
That's super interesting considering in the show he's talking to that statue.
Yeah.
So okay. And I thought it had something to do with the Moonstone. Like is there anything because there's a Moonstone in Marvel Comics that gives people powers and stuff, and like
he's got the seventh Infinity Stone, the Moonstone.
No, man.
That stone.
No, I hate you. What? There's a Moonstone, and it gives the supervillain Moonstone her powers.
Okay.
She's one of the Thunderbolts. And then Zemo takes the Moonstone at one point, and like Zemo has some cool powers.
But that has nothing to do with Moon Knight.
No, not at all.
I just looking in the glossary and stuff, or in the in my book.
Nah, the Moonstone's like totally different.
Okay, interesting. That was good though. That was a good little history lesson for Moon Knight. I feel like I liked that. I just talking about that for 5 minutes. I learned a lot about that character. Now moving on to the show, this is going to be a spoilery episode. So from here on out, if you have not seen episode 1 of Moon Knight, go watch it and then come back at the 30-minute mark on Marvel Canon Madness and you can listen to us talk about Moon Knight, which we are going to do now. Again, spoilers, leave if you haven't seen it. Here we go. So this first episode obviously aired on Disney Plus. It's called The Goldfish Problem. It is directed by Justin Benson, Mohammed Diab, and Aaron Moorhead. It was written by Jeremy Slater, Doug Monk, and Don Perlin, and it stars Oscar Isaac, my main man Poe, Ethan Hawke, and May Calamawai. Obviously, there's other people that star in this. You got F. Murray Abraham, who's the voice of Khonshu, which is really cool. And then Lucy Thackeray was Donna. Just, obviously there's going to be more characters that come out during the show. So initial reactions. Let's start with Cody. When you watched this episode, what were you thinking when you finished it? What was do you want more? Were you done? Like, what were your initial thoughts?
I kind of was like speechless. I really didn't know what to think, like in a good way though. Like I wanted more because I really didn't know. Like I had no idea who Moon Knight is. I still don't. But yeah, pretty much I was left with the feeling that I want more now instead of like one episode per week. But I also thought it was really good, and like I know like very minor things about like the Egyptian, like how they're religious and their gods and stuff, and I know in the show that they mentioned Anubis and Amit, and Anubis would like take your heart and then weigh it on the scale. I'm not sure like what would happen if you had a good heart or whatever, but I know that if you're deemed not worthy, then Amit, or the goddess that Ethan Hawke is like kind of like devoted himself to, would then eat your heart. But in the show, they said Amit got impatient, so she essentially betrayed everybody else around her, like Anubis and all that. So they're making it seem like she's kind of going AWOL with it, which is cool. I want to see more of it.
Roy, what about you? What are your first initial? What's your first initial reaction to this show?
I think I want a movie with Oscar Isaac and James McAvoy, both playing people with dissociative IDs that live together in a house and are like each 10 different people, and just some kind of beautiful story between them. Because seeing Oscar Isaac do this, he's got really good acting chops.
He's got a range. He's got a great range,
and
for sure.
Going into this, like I knew, like I said, I knew what Moon Knight was. I didn't know much about him. I always thought he had like some kind of moon spirit of vengeance in him, like an Egyptian version of Ghost Rider. And I thought, oh, that's all they did is they slapped Ghost Rider and Batman together and threw him out there in the middle of New York to basically be a superpowered Punisher, and
I'm cool with that.
Watching this, it did bring a whole new depth to the character for me. And I think that was more the betrayal by Oscar Isaac that did it, because we got this meek guy that doesn't know what's going on, but he keeps getting thrown into the middle of these situations and waking up. And that's got to be terrifying. That has just got to be mental in of itself. I mean, waking up in a field with your jaw completely dishinged and broken, well, that tells me right there that he's got some kind of regenerative abilities. So I'm down for this. I like the darker heroes that aren't afraid to pull punches. And I believe Moon Knight doesn't necessarily kill, but he has no problem with just horribly mangling people.
I feel like he killed a bunch of people in this episode.
He absolutely kills.
Yeah, but I'm talking like
kills.
Comic wise, from what like watching him on shows and stuff. I don't think he ever actually killed that I saw. It was always more Batman-esque. I'm going to break both your legs, your arms, and then I'm going to leave you hangling dangling from a building. That's what we're gonna call it from now on. By the way,
Hangling.
You're dangling.
I could see that. Chip, what were your first impressions of this? Because you're the one that like is really critical about these shows and things. So
I liked it. I enjoyed it. They did a really good job. Like I was sucked in 30 seconds in. Like as soon as he put on those sandals lined with glass, I was just like, okay, here we go. Like
that's what I thought too. I was like, wow, this is a lot darker than
Like-
I feel like we're used to.
I don't know. It's like it's odd to me that Stephen Grant doesn't seem to know that he's Moon Knight and didn't seem to like recognize Khonshu's voice, but he still like surrounds his bed with sand for some inexplicable reason. And still like I don't know. That was just really odd. The ringing his bed with sand. If he's like
his
unaware
connection
that
to
he's Moon
Egypt,
Knight.
maybe he feels the need to.
And I think that's what makes this first episode so good is they leave so many little clues and things to be like, wait, what? I need to figure out why that guy's walking around in glass. I need to figure out why he's putting sand around his bed. I need to figure out why he's got a random phone locked away in his walls. Like,
Yeah.
They did a really good job of creating a mystery in this first episode that just really draws you in to the character. And like you were saying, him coming in and out of where he is, when he wakes up on the bus and has no idea what's going on, when he wakes up in the truck and he's driving like super fast, like not knowing what's going on, like those are the kind of things that really draw you into it. And man, the characters have been fantastic. I love Oscar Isaac, obviously is really great. I love the Ethan Hawke's character. He's that like, Messiah, like kind of I'm better than everyone and you should follow me kind of guy. I like those characters. I even liked his boss at the museum. Like she was pretty good. Like and
she's
and
funny.
the security guard. I want to see more of that security guard. Give me more Otter videos, man. I want to see more of that because. And again, they just did such a good job of introducing this new character and this whole new show to a group of rabid fans that now want more. Roy, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna ask Chip. I don't know if I have this right, but wasn't there? I know he has multiple personalities, but was one of them like a detective or something? Somebody who knew the streets of New York.
There's a taxi driver. He's got a taxi driver named Jake Lockley. There's a consultant, which I think like I don't know. I'm not sure, but I think like there's a consultant. Yeah. I think he does like wet work and like I want to say like think Deadpool. Think Wade Wilson before he became Deadpool. Like I feel like that's what him as a consultant is, and that's Mr. Knight. That's like anytime you've seen like the poster art where he's like wearing a suit and the mask, that's Mr. Knight. That's like different than Moon Knight. I mean, but it's not like it's the same, but different.
Is that a comic book thing? Because I bet they won't do that in this actual show. Because I just got confused listening to that.
They've literally done poster art where
really okay.
Moon Knight and Mr. Knight. They've revealed action figures. They're gonna drop Legends where there's a Mr. Knight and a Moon Knight. So like I don't know.
Huh.
It's like it's an odd character.
Mm-hmm. He's fun though. So far.
Yeah, and the poor guy, man. He can't catch a break. I feel for him, like all he wants to do is go on a date, right? That's all this guy wants to do.
Take time.
Yeah. And he just keeps getting pulled into these other directions. And I love that you bring up the fact that this particular person doesn't recognize the God. He doesn't recognize Mark. He doesn't know what's going on. And I'm wondering if that's like some sort of amnesia. Did he get some sort of amnesia from maybe, I don't know, dying in the desert?
See, I'm curious how they're gonna play it off. I'm wondering if this character Stephen Grant is like just a coping mechanism. Like, I'm wondering if he got
Ah.
brought into it like after some crazy nonsense went down with Mark, and he's been like living this low key life as Stephen Grant. Like, how long has he worked at the museum? Did they say?
Well, I was gonna say
Like, I don't
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like he's been Stephen Grant for too long, but he, like you said, he obviously knows he's like strapping himself to his bed, so he knows that something's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also,
like,
I thought that was funny because, like, first of all, if your multiple personalities wake up and you're strapped to a bed, can't they just be like, "Oh, well, he did it again. Let me just unstrap myself."
Well, all right. So here's the thing.
I didn't
Also,
get that either.
with him strapping himself to the bed, he's doing a lot of things. Like, he is surprised when somebody called him Mark. Like, I don't think he
doesn't-
actively knows,
Yeah.
and he thinks he's just like sleepwalking.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm wondering,
That's
too.
why he's putting the tape on the door. He's
Mm.
putting the sand around the bed, is because he's looking for, like, did I get up in the night? Did I
Yeah.
move through the sand? You know, my ankle
That's-
bracelet's still on.
That's a good catch. That's why they made a point of showing the footprint when he first gets out of the bed, so you can see that. Okay, thank you.
And-
Good catch.
They did a scene where he's like reading and he's tossing his Rubik's Cube and everything, but they never show him finish the Rubik's Cube. But when he wakes up, the
blacked out.
Rubik's Cube at the side is done.
Yeah.
Huh. I didn't notice
So
Didn't notice that either.
Yep.
If-
Both times
if-
you see it, it's finished. As like when it's not actively in his hand, it's done.
mhm.
that. Interesting.
So I think, like, him blacking out, and because of the dissociative disorder, it makes me wonder if, like, his other personality set up another phone for him to call to leave a message for his mom. Like, he actually thinks it's his mom's number, but it's
I was gonna say, I'm wondering if his mom is even
Yeah.
exists. Like the person that he's talking to probably is not his mom, right? Like,
Mhm. It's
some random
pro-
person getting messages.
there's that, or it's this Mark, or it's Mark Spector getting these messages and just listening to them to be like, okay, this is how I'm going to keep what do you call him, the worm,
The
you know,
idiot.
content.
They pick one. They the
Well, they go through
parasite,
a
the
list.
worm, the idiot. Like they really don't like Steven.
Mhm.
Which that was fun. A fun little like back and forth when he wakes up in that field and his jaw's broken, and dude's like, "Oh no, the idiot's back in control."
Yeah.
like
And he
they
proves
plan it
it.
out. They try to Moon Knight or the god and Mark try to take over that body before Steven even realizes what's going on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I like it that he kind of proves he's the idiot too, because he looks up at the building and he's like,
Hello.
"Hi, do you know where I am?" And then they just start firing at him,
Yeah.
and
Then
I
his,
he-
love that
his
the one
instinct
dude
is just
waves
run.
back.
Yeah, he looks out the window and waves back. There was some good comedy in this, like not a lot, but there was some good little funny spots. And I thought Oscar Isaac was fantastic going through his different characters, going and being that nerdy British guy, and then going from that to show that creepy, Mark Spector in the mirror person. Like, I'm really excited to see Moon Knight in actual action. We saw a little bit of it at the very end of this episode. When the mask came on and the cape came out and stuff like that. But I'm excited to see, because I'm pretty sure Oscar Isaac does most of his stunts and stuff in the costume, if I'm not mistaken.
That's cool.
Jesse asked, "Do you think Steven will eventually have to assert himself over the other personalities?"
I don't
Most
think he does
likely.
in the comics. I think they like live pretty symbiotically.
Harmoniously.
They say, well, it's implied that it's like that it has to do with the moon. Like, so there's 4 phases of the moon, and they say that like each of the 4 personalities is attributed to one of the phases of the moon. Not necessarily that he's like in that personality at the same time as the moon,
Mhm.
but that like
They
their
have a
personality-
stronger hold on the body during that time.
Yeah, like
Interesting.
moons, like Mark Spector is attributed to like the full moon because it's like bright and shines a light on evil and blah 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 and protects people, shit like that. And then one's like investigative, one's planning. And it's like, yeah. But yeah, it's like that's like one of the implications they've implied, but not like outright confirmed.
Okay. So, man, this episode, gosh, it's all a mystery, right? This is they did a great job of just like they didn't tell you anything in this. You know nothing about Moon Knight. Like just like me, just like Roy in the chat, just like Cody, just like Intrepid DM over here. None of us really know anything about Moon Knight. And they kept it that way in this first episode, which I really enjoyed. Like I said, it brings you in to want to watch more. But another thing that brings you in are those action scenes. Marvel never disappoints with the action scenes. And that whole like chase with the ice cream truck, with the going back and forth between personalities and them like fighting each other.
Yeah.
Incredible, man. Like what Cody, what were your like biggest thoughts on some of these action scenes?
I really like the kind of the cinematography, I guess, when he goes from like one personality to the next, and then like everything happens, and especially like when he throws the gun out of his ice cream truck.
Did he just throw the gun?
Yeah, that was so funny. I don't know. I really enjoy it. It's kind of cool. I've never like seen a character like this, so I'm excited.
And a superhero like this too.
Yeah.
With that, like it's. You know, we've seen Split, you know, that James McAvoy did a really good job with the multiple personalities. We've seen some of those shows before, but to have a superhero with multiple personalities and to be flashing back and forth is top notch. And it's very interesting. And again, curious to see like what else they can do with this. Phil in the chat brought up, he says, I'm sure we'll see it tie into Blade and things eventually. What do you think about that, Chip? Do you think it'll tie into Blade? And how would it tie into Blade? Because I know nothing about that. And you're my resident Marvel expert over here.
You know, I really want to say that there was like an event that had to do with like Dracula that Blade and Moon Knight were teaming up for. I feel like there's been a few instances, but honestly, like Blade was a big comic character in like the 70s and 80s. That's when like Spectre first came out. I didn't read tons back before I was born.
That makes sense.
That late 80s tip, guys. Jeez.
I feel like this could be their start of the Disney Plus Defenders universe, because if Phil's correct in assuming that Blade's going to tie in, Blade's already tied into the Eternals with Black Knight.
Now we could do Midnight Suns.
Okay, go on.
I could see him doing Midnight Suns. That's going to be like supernatural. Like that's going to be like a big supernatural tilt, which is I've heard a direction that they're going to explore more. So that would be like you're bringing in Ghost Rider, you've got Moon Knight, you've got Blade.
Isn't it Doctor Strange as part of them?
Yeah, Doctor Strange, Damon Hellstrom.
I want to say Punisher is too.
Punisher is one of them. Wolverine.
So I mean,
it's like
Michael
really
Morbius
dark, really
is
violent characters. Yeah, Morbius.
Well,
yeah. I mean, it's like
Marvel
it's
just
like,
shot that idea down.
yeah. Damn you, Sony!
That's interesting. I mean, they don't have to use Morbius. They can use any of those characters. You know, if you just do Ghost Rider, Blade, and Moon Knight, you have two characters that people love and one character that people don't really know about yet that maybe they want to move forward with. That could be fun.
people want Robbie Reyes. Like he's the
Yeah.
newer Ghost Rider.
From
like
Agents of Shield, right?
Yeah, I feel like
He
you
was
get rid of Johnny Blaze. Like we don't need Johnny Blaze anymore.
The
He's
Ghost
old,
Rider in Agents
honestly.
of
Like
Shield.
they have
Whoever
new
played him
Ghost
was
Riders.
fantastic.
Yeah, they could bring in the female Ghost Rider, Alessandra. She was bad. Like she was a pretty cool character.
Yeah,
There's all sorts of cool ones they could bring in.
and there's so much they can do now. Like they're bringing in all these little tiny characters: Moon Knight, She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, bringing all these characters that people don't really pay attention to as much, to maybe form some sort of, again, Disney Plus Avengers. You know, a Secret Avengers, a Young Avengers, something like
Dark
that.
Avengers.
Dark Avengers, yeah.
That's what they're
and
gonna call it.
and now that they have, he was in Shield. Thank you, Phil. As in like Agents of Shield, I'm assuming, because I watched that series and I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But they just brought back like the Punisher and all that to Disney Plus. Like that all came back to Marvel, which is fantastic because, like you were saying, Chip, they could use the Punisher and that stuff, and they can kind of recycle those characters. And maybe Disney's starting to move away from more movies, and maybe they're trying to get like heavy into the streaming world.
It'd be a good step in their repertoire to do. I mean,
Is it cheaper to make a show than a movie? Like one of these Disney shows, like you're making them like on the same, like the WandaVision. Think about WandaVision and all the special effects. Is it cheaper to make that than it is like a full-on movie? Like
I think it's close to about the same.
I think
because with actors and special effects, like, yeah, some of the special effects in these episodes aren't as good as the movies, but it's because that budget has to be stretched out across 8 episodes instead of one movie. You know what I mean? So I think with TV, it's about the same budget wise, probably a little less budget wise, but they still have to like maneuver that stuff meticulously to make sure that things look good. You know,
I think honestly it would be cheaper because I mean you got to think they're putting out for the cost of this show. If the show is the cost of a movie, they're putting out 2 to 3 movies.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're like watching. We're getting 8 hours of content as opposed to like the 2 to 3 for a movie. Like, what's the price tag for that?
And a lot of these places are probably in studio shot. Yeah. They're not actively out on the streets of cornering off a huge part of Chicago for this big epic flight scene or anything like this. It's probably done in studio and they have their own setup done. So they're probably saving a ton of money there. And that money that they're saving is probably going into what's making their CGI so good compared to the shit that's on the CW. I mean, if you've watched Flash or Arrow or anything like that,
be careful with the next words you say.
Supergirl.
Look, Arrow was fantastic. I loved Arrow. The first 2-3 seasons of Arrow were great. Flash was good. Pretty good too, but once that CW verse started taking off with like Black Lightning and Supergirl and those things, I was just kind of like, eh.
I watched a video of the latest season of Supergirl, and it's literally looks like they took the CGI out of the fucking 80s.
It's like a Smallville.
So bad.
Like Smallville.
It's like Smallville style CGI compared to what they're capable of.
Yeah.
Just Smallville without Kristen Kruk. Okay.
So the cost of production per hour for a movie are much higher, but the aggregate costs of seasons of a show can surpass that. So you have more people working on a movie than you do on a show, but you have the same people working for more time on a show than you do on a movie, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. I think they're making more bang for their buck with it also, because if you think about it, Disney does a good job of saying, hey, we're not letting you binge the fucking season. You're going to pay me for 3 months of...
I'm okay with that, though.
Service.
I'm so cool with weekly episode drops because
Yeah.
look, I like to binge and stuff, but there are times like I've been binging Star Trek, for instance, the Discovery, and there are a couple times where I have to go back and watch things because when you're binging a season, you start wandering, your mind starts wandering, you start thinking about other stuff. Whereas like when you have a show that comes out every Wednesday, you're like, holy shit, I gotta get there. I gotta watch this right now. Like it dropped. I gotta watch it now. Like I'm gonna, and then you have that one episode to kind of stew over for a week and talk about with your friends and stuff. I'm a much bigger fan of that weekly drop than I am of the Netflix like dump of things.
Yeah,
Maybe that's just me, but I don't know.
No, I agree because like if they post it, I'm watching it. Like I can't make myself wait a week to watch it. Like every time, like it's so annoying. I literally waited a whole year for that 5th season of Big Mouth, and like, what am I waiting now? 364 days for a new season now. Like, God, damn it.
It's the same thing with like The Witcher. When The Witcher came out, I would have much rather The Witcher be a episode every week so I could enjoy it. Watch it, because I would do the same thing with that. I'd watch an episode and then I'd rewatch it to absorb everything so I understand it before the next episode. And when they do that, it's like, okay, I'm just excited for the next episode because I didn't understand any of that shit, but that was awesome. Let's go to the next one.
I want more information. I want to know what else is happening.
I don't like these multiple part seasons either, where like we're going to split the season up into 2 parts. So you're going to get 3 or 4 episodes now and then wait 5 months. No, fuck you. I'd rather wait a week and get each episode. Do I really have to wait
with Rick
5
and Morty,
months?
though.
Like,
Are we
I think it happened in
season now?
Old Heroes? Is that what you said?
Old Heroes from NBC.
Like season 2?
The writer's strike? Oh my God, dude. That show got so ruined by that writer's strike.
It really did.
Where the fuck is Caitlin? Like when? Sorry, when the fuck is Caitlin? They like dropped that bitch off in the time stream and just whoosh, Nate Petrelli was like deuces. Like,
that's right. I need to watch that show again. That's something we should do as a special Marvel Canon Madness show as Heroes. I know it has nothing to do with Marvel, but man, that show was good.
Great.
I have all 5 seasons on Blu-ray, so
Nice.
Yeesh.
Wow. Is the 5th season that newer one that they?
Yeah, it's Heroes Reborn.
I did not watch that. Is it?
It was actually fairly good.
Okay.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
I named my middle child after Siler, so and tell your child when he gets older, yep, you're named after a serial murderer from a comic book show.
A brain splitter.
Better live up to your potential. Yeah, don't actually live up to your potential, kid.
Yeah.
That's funny. So the goldfish in this episode, how did I miss something? Because at the beginning he didn't have a fin, and then at the end he had both of his fins. What did I miss?
The fish starved to death while Mark Spector was off doing nonsense.
Yeah.
And then when he got back, he went and bought a new goldfish.
The look on Josh's face right now.
Yeah, hoping that Stephen Grant didn't notice that he just bought a new goldfish to replace it. But the old fish had 1 fin and this one had 2.
How did I not even? I watched this episode like 3 times too.
And the pet store clerk, she goes, just like you asked yesterday. No, I don't sell them with just 1 fin, and I'm not cutting them off.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, all right. Now I remember all of that. Okay. Jeez, man. I was so confused. I must have missed that scene like all 3 times I watched this episode, because like I just like at the beginning I was like, oh, what a fun little Nemo fish, and then at the end I'm like, how did he grow a fin back? Are we in the multiverse? What's going on? Oh, okay. Thank you for clarifying that, man.
Yeah.
Duh. We do. Come on, man. Anyway, What else? What else? What are we missing out on here with this episode?
The bathroom scene,
Go on.
or what about the scene in the museum leading up to the bathroom?
You're
I
talking the
feel
very
like we
end
should
when he
talk-
turns
Yeah.
into Moon Knight.
Yeah.
I feel like we should talk some Arthur Harrow, because like that dude has a magic tattoo.
It was that
Yeah.
that is Ethan Hawke's character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because I all I could remember was Arthur, and I couldn't remember the last name.
Harrow.
Is that
He's got
a
magic
villain
tattoo.
from the comics? Is that someone that was brought in just for this, or
Yeah,
is this gonna be another one of those like villains that is the arch nemesis of the hero and then they die?
No, he's from the comics.
He's like a cult leader.
Oh,
He got
okay.
well. He was giving off a lot of Charles Manson vibes.
Mhm.
You know, the way he was just walking through the crowd and everything.
Yeah.
I know we talked about the stepping on glass stuff, but a lot of religious figures used to purge themselves of sin by self-harm.
Yeah.
It made them feel righteous, and that's kind of the feel I got from his walking with sandals and glass. Is I was thinking, oh, we have another Catholic with a whip. You know, he's hiding in that back, just whipping himself. This guy, he just has a foot fetish. You know,
If they don't play that song, walking on broken glass. If they don't play that at some point in this series, it is a huge missed opportunity. Am I right? I mean, come on.
Yeah. That's also something I think we need to look into. Is Marvel does a really good job with their music choice.
Did you?
And
So
I feel like these songs have a lot more in depth with what's going on than I realize, because like I said, I don't understand Moon Knight, so I don't understand the connection that they might be having here.
Well, they are. First of all, back to the music. Just to go on that for a second, Disney is extremely good at finding, I feel like, the right composers. For instance, the composer for Moon Knight, Hisham Nazi, is a straight Egyptian composer. Like, he just writes Egyptian music, and like he's done things for like documentaries and stuff, for like on Egypt and things, and like a bunch of Egyptian movies. And so bringing him in to give that like spin on things, I think is brilliant. It's just like bringing in Ludwig von Göransson for Boba Fett and those shows. Like, even with those, they just bring in the most perfect composers that know exactly what they're doing with the content that they have. And I'm glad you brought that up, Roy, because I really enjoyed the music of this show, of this first episode. And it was different. It was like a different kind of, I don't listen to a lot of Egyptian music. So it was cool to kind of hear that take on things and hear that different style. And I'm, again, thoroughly excited to hear more of that. I'm a big fan of the compositions of shows and stuff, and I really, really am excited to hear more of that. So that's all I had with the music. Did you guys have anything else to say about the music?
The "Wake Me Up Before You Go Go."
That was a good one.
It literally wakes up before he goes. It was a very good play on word and scene.
That was, I did laugh, and then I immediately thought about Zoolander and having a gasoline.
I didn't realize that the other song was called "A Man Without Love," and it's him waking up in the morning alone, feeding his fish, calling his mom, and then going out.
Yeah. That's a great song too. Speaking of A Man Without Love, let's talk about that date scene a little bit.
Yikes.
What date?
Yeah.
Exactly. But like, dang, man, I felt so much for that guy. As a single dude. How do you mess that up?
Cut that.
It's just like, and you could see it in his face. Like, I I felt just like Oscar Isaac in that moment where he's like, today's Friday, right? Like this, and then the waiter is trying to get him to get his steak, and just him like staring off into space. How would you like that cooked? Oh yeah, good. Yeah, good. That sounds good. Okay, sure. Well done. We'll cook that well done for you. Anything else you want? No, I don't. Like, just in such a daze because this poor guy, all he wants to do is find some love and maybe go on a date and hand out some chocolates. But now he's got this other personality that's taking him on murderous adventures across the country. And
I feel like up until that point, he had like decided that was all a dream. But then like she tells him like, no, it's Sunday. And he's like, what? The waiter confirms it. So he's just like, oh shit, I lost 2 days. Like
last I knew, Friday came out for Thursday. Oh man. Yeah, it just sucks for that guy. I hope he gets a good date by the end of the series. It's didn't they do that in Falcon Winter Soldier too? Wasn't there a date scene or something in there where they just wanted to go on a date? Am I thinking of the right show?
I think that was Winter Soldier wanting to tap Sam's sister.
Oh, okay. It's been a long time since
no, there was a date scene. There was a date with the Chinese or Mandarin girl. I'm sorry, I don't know which nationality she was.
I think it was Mandarin, right?
But yeah, it was in the restaurant of the owner's kid was the one that got jacked by
stood up. Yeah, that's right. Because wow, Marvel's really good about making you feel bad for these guys and their non-existent love life. I mean, look at Spider-Man. Oh boy.
Yeah, that doesn't exist anymore.
I know. Oh man, really just tugging on the heartstrings in this one, in this whole phase of things, which is great. I also wanted to bring up that scene of him talking to the statue. What, like, Cody, what did you think about him talking to the statue? Do you think the statue is a real person?
I hope not. I feel so bad for that guy. Oh my goodness. If that was a real person, I'd have to give him a firm handshake for that, because that would be so hard to sit through and not even react. I mean, I feel bad for like Steven, but holy cow.
No, it's absolutely a living statue. That is just a dude in gold makeup that has to sit there. That's his thing. He just sits there and pretends to be a statue, and this asshole walks up and dumps all of his troubles on him. It's just like, what a prick.
Oh. Is it really a living statue?
Oh, absolutely. That is a real breathing person. And he just plops down next to him, eats his sandwich. Yes, then life kicked me in the nuts in this way. That's why, like, he took that photo for the couple and then was like, don't forget the tip. You're supposed to tip them if you take a photo with them.
Okay.
Good on Steve, though. He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
He is. He is a good dude. He
did give him, some extra.
Yeah, he also gave him what was that, like a falafel or something?
Pralines.
Huh. I didn't realize that. I just thought he was in the back of my head. I'm thinking that is a statue, like just a statue that he talks to, that eventually will come to life as like the god that he's like been involved with. No. But if it's a living statue and I just missed that, then
living statue. And I feel like he's been talking to that living statue for a while. So that dude like keeps coming back and sitting there like either like I don't know.
Maybe he just in it for the tips at that point.
He's lonely too. Shit, what does he do all day? Just sit in front of a fountain getting shit on by birds.
Watch that dude is actually Mark Spector's like informant or something, and he's just like, "You're not Mark. I can't talk to you. Sorry, bud."
That's interesting. Like he has a bigger part in it. Like it's like in Beverly Hills Ninja, when Liu Kang was the golden statue, just kind of watching Chris Farley the whole time. Like, okay, I could see that where he's like, "Oh, you're not Mark. Damn it, I got to listen to this story again."
I also feel sorry for that older lady on the elevator.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Elevators are bad
She
enough
was
as is.
so freaked out. Just like, I'm visiting my friend. She's home. She's expecting me.
Please
Like,
open
oh
the
my
door.
God, dude. Like,
Probably wasn't even her friend's house. She just
No.
knocked on the first door she could.
Well, that's what they tell you to do if you're being stalked by someone in like an apartment building is
Just to
go to
first-
the first apartment near and just start making noise.
Mm.
Shh, spoilers. What?
It's a big street performance career in England.
All we do is spoil on this show.
We've been yelled at a couple times about it. But hey, we gave a good spoiler warning
We
at the
do.
beginning here. So,
We give a big call out to spoilers.
and Phil, if you haven't seen this yet, I would be thoroughly disappointed in you because come on, Phil. We all know you've seen this and probably read all the comics. What are we missing, guys? I feel like we've covered most of this initial episode.
Was that like a crocodile monster in the now that I'm thinking about it, I thought it looked more like a jackal, but
Oh.
in
I'm not too
what?
sure what it was.
the bathroom scene.
Oh, the
man, crocodile monster would play into more of the
Nile.
Emmett,
Amit.
Amet, must talk about more.
I feel like
And that was a
the
that was a fun
iconography
scene.
of that was more like crocodile-esque. So I don't know. That might be.
Okay.
It might have.
And was it Harrow that summoned it? Because I think I made a mistake at some point in one of the past things. Because I thought like Moon Knight kept these creatures in check in his head or something. But like I think I had that way wrong.
No, I feel like it's definitely seemed like Harrow had like either summoned it himself or gotten it summoned somehow because like he popped on the PA and was like, I'm gonna tear you apart unless you give up that scarab.
Mm. What's the scarab?
I have no idea. Something important, obviously. Like, I don't know. That scene was really funny when he's just like, take it from me. I don't know why this is happening.
That was kind of a callback to like the Spider-Man though, the Far From Home or No Way Home, because like when Doctor Strange is trying to take that box, he's still got the spider sense. So this is like the Spectre sense, I feel like, of keeping the scarab away. But yeah, that end bathroom scene was that's the scene that makes you wanting more, that leaves you wanting more, right? Because he like finally is like, all right, fine, I give up, take over my body, help me out here. And then you finally see Moon Knight in all of his glory. And which I'm glad they did that on the first episode instead of making us wait, because at least now we can see Moon Knight in actual action instead of like some of those shows, like Daredevil, for instance. You don't see him in the actual Daredevil outfit until the last episode of season 1.
Well, no, you saw him in the Daredevil outfit. The original Daredevil outfit was just the black suit with the mask. I'm serious. You can't say
what
that
I mean,
not
though.
his.
You know what I mean, though.
His actual outfit. That is.
I'm talking the
Daredevil.
rubber suit with the horns and everything. You didn't get that outfit till the very end of that season. I get it. The black mask and the thing, that's all original. Great. But with Daredevil, I would have liked to see his horns come in a little earlier than they did. Whereas in Moon Knight, they were like, nope, we're not going to make you wait. Here he is. Next episode, we'll get some more action in the suit, which totally down for. Like I love that costume, that mummy looking, like wrapped in cloth costume. I think that's fantastic.
It's only 6 episodes for this season.
Yep. It's Falcon Winter Soldier all over again.
Yeah, we'll get a lot of action next episode.
So, what is his power scale? Like, where does he fall in the MCU for powers?
We don't know.
Because didn't Kevin Feige say that somebody is going to come along in this new series that is more powerful or equal to Captain Marvel / Thor power scale?
It's not Moon Knight.
Well, obviously, but it's like They could make Moon Knight this powerful if he's in some shape, way related to a god. We don't know what his actual scale of powers is.
I guess it's like
And
the comics don't even know what his scale of powers is. Like they've changed it several times.
And we know that Marvel is probably taking a lot of creative freedoms with this because we know they're taking creative freedoms with Miss Marvel. She's no longer going to be big and stretchy that we know of. It's more like an energy based stretchy, manipulating energy to look like she's gigantifying her hands or whatever.
I mean, I feel like she'll still have that stretchy power eventually.
I don't
You
think they're
know?
going to do that with them bringing Reed Richards actually into the MCU. I think they're going to reserve that specifically for him.
I guess that makes sense.
Fuck you, Reed
but
Richards.
the liberties that they do take with a lot of the powers in Marvel make sense. They do it in a way that it's kind of logical in that universe. Where some of those powers, like with Miss Marvel, you're like, well, yeah, you stretch your arms real far, like that's kind of lame. They have to make it make sense. So I know there's a lot of complaints about that stuff. I was reading some of those, like, Miss Marvel is not even the right Miss Marvel, but like, you gotta make it legit in some aspect, right? You gotta have some sort of believability with those characters.
You absolutely don't. And I hate you for using that voice to like make a legitimate argument. That was such a good argument you made right there. But then like you ruined it with that snarky ass voice. Like it's not the real Miss Marvel. Like that is not her power set. That's an entirely different character. That's them shoehorning in like they're like, we'll bring in Kamala Khan. We'll have some inclusion. We'll we'll look woke, but like her powers look like Captain Marvel. Like they're giving her Captain Marvel's power set, not Miss Marvel's power set.
We
It's
don't
like,
know that yet. We haven't seen the show yet. Hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
eh.
And if you didn't know, you can find more of Chip on Reddit under the surname of the troll.
I keep it anonymous on Reddit. Don't worry. You get real hot takes there.
Oh, I bet. I can only imagine with the stuff that we get in our network chat. I can only imagine what you say on Reddit.
Oh, don't make me
Jeez.
sound bad.
But I'm okay with it. I'm
maybe
okay with them doing it in a way of making it a little bit more grounded, a little bit more realistic,
And maybe it's
Yeah,
trailer
it's comics,
magic.
but-
Who knows?
Probably.
But, like, I don't know. I like Miss Marvel. I was excited to see her embiggen power, but I don't know.
Or
We'll see what
embiggen?
happens. Yeah, that's what it's called. Embiggen.
I didn't know that was the actual terminology for it. I just thought she was stretchy.
Nope, she would. That's what she would call it. She referred to it as her embiggening herself. EMBIGGEN. Embiggen.
Reed Richards
feel like there's
refers
a
to
new,
things like that too.
I feel like there's a new bet coming on with this whole Miss Marvel thing. When does that
I'm
show
not a
come
part
out?
of it.
June? No, I know. That's what I'm like. You already lost a bet. It's time for Chip to lose a bet.
I did. I
Chip
still have
lost
to,
a bet, and we still
yeah.
haven't got him to pay up on it.
Yeah. We went on hiatus.
That's right.
When we do our next DC episode, I'll come out decked out in my Superman get up.
Excellent. Phil makes a good point. They could very well be saving more of Kamala's comic power set for Marvel's.
True.
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, I'm not gonna like thumbs down the whole series, but like my initial reaction to the trailer was like pretty scowly.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, it's again, like I said, they're doing a good job with making comic books a little bit more believable in this day and age, and I feel like they're doing that same thing with Moon Knight, where I love the whole multiple personality thing because there's so many people out there that suffer from that multiple personality disorder, and like to bring that kind of character into this and make him a little bit more grounded / realistic, like that god might not even exist by the end of this. It might be something completely different, you know. And like you were saying, with liberties of creative liberties, like they very well could take some creative liberties with Moon Knight and change his whole origin story, which, depending on how they do it, could be really good, could be really bad. We got 5 more episodes to kind of figure out how good and how bad this could be. But personally, I mean, Marvel hasn't done too many bad things aside from, I still was not a big fan of Falcon Winter Soldier. I just can't get into that show, man. But what, Roy just had an epiphany.
Weren't we supposed to get Punisher in Moon Knight? I thought the rumors back a while ago were that Johnny Boy was coming back to play Frank Castle in Moon Knight.
I mean, I could see that.
Now I'm gonna pull that up because I believe that's what it was. We had talked about it previously.
I'm looking at it right now.
That John Berthinelli was, I just said his name wrong.
Berthinelli.
Was coming back.
Moon Knight will continue the streak of cameos and will finally bring Frank Castle, aka the Punisher, into the MCU. This was written on February 8th. It's going to be a post-credit scene, apparently.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we know that we already got Kingpin.
Daredevil.
Kingpin. We got Matt Murdock now. Frank Castle's coming. Who knows? Maybe we do get Jessica Jones or Luke Cage. I could see Jessica Jones making a return in maybe She-Hulk.
That's the rumors that she'll be in She-Hulk. But they're also
nobody needs Iron Fist, so
no, I'm good with that. Luke Cage, I could use some more Luke Cage in my life, though. I liked him.
Yeah, he's cool.
They are supposed to be starting season 4 of Daredevil by the beginning of 2023. So that next season of that show will come out, I believe, Christmas of 2023, if I remember correctly what I was reading. But boy, oh boy, is that cool. Which, by the way, I just want to say something to all those people on Twitter that do the hashtag save Daredevil hashtag. Like, Daredevil was never gone, guys. Like, I don't know why we had to save Daredevil by any means. Like, there was no saving it. It never went away. It's back. It just had to revert back to Marvel, which was the original plan the whole time. And there was no saving it. It's whatever. I'm sorry. I'm
I do have one question about this series, and I need to know how you guys feel about it, because Oscar Isaac is done with Marvel after this.
Ooh.
His contract is over, and he didn't sign another one. That made huge news because they're like, what are we going to do with Moon Knight after this? Is this just going to be a one-shot and done, or...
Dude, that's going to be the Punisher cameo. Punisher just shows up at the end and blasts him in the face, and he's like, this is my show now. Look at me. This is my show now.
It's hard because we know that Marvel has already said, or Disney, that after the Scarlett Johansson debacle, that they're no longer signing multi-movie contracts, multi-show contracts with actors unless they legitimately want to play the roles, for themselves. They want people to be invested in their characters because they like the characters. And I know Oscar Isaac said he would never do another another comic book movie or comic book related project after X-Men Apocalypse. Apocalypse? I'm pretty sure I just said that wrong.
You're doing great.
Yes. That's public education for you guys. My parents couldn't afford no private schools.
Oh man, which that's funny. Oscar Isaac was Apocalypse in that.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So he already has a history with Marvel because of that.
That's not Marvel. That's
Fox, but it's still a Marvel based product.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Phil. Mahershala Ali. I can never pronounce his name, but he was a villain and he was Cottonmouth in Luke Cage.
Mm-hmm. He's
So I was just gonna say, like, this is why the multiverse is so brilliant, because all these characters, like Oscar Isaac played Apocalypse, and now he's Moon Knight. They could reference that in a multiverse. Ali played Blade, or playing Blade, and he played Cottonmouth. They could reference that at some point. There are so many characters that they could do that with, like. And you want Iron Man back? Well, we'll pull him in from this other universe. And there's so many things that they could do with that. But we are just about out of time for this episode. Not that we have a time limit, but we try to keep these not as long as they used to be. So I did want to do a rating on this episode, because that's how we do things every week, and every show we watch, we do a good rating on it. So let's do a rating from 1 to 10 chocolates. I don't know. Cody, what would you rate this episode from 1 to 10? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best.
Probably like 7.5. Only because like I'm not sure like what the rest of the episodes are gonna be like. So I don't. It wasn't bad, but I don't think it was like amazing so far. But I mean, I really enjoyed it at the same time. So we'll just see what the rest of the season has to bring.
Heck yeah. Chip, what about you?
I'll give it probably an 8. It had more action than a lot of like first episodes that we've gotten. They kind of jumped right into it. It was a pretty good first episode. It did like a really good job of establishing stuff. Kept it exciting. It wasn't too tedious. Yeah, I enjoyed it, and I'm excited to see the next one. So yeah, I'll give it an 8.
Excellent. Roy, what about you?
I'm gonna agree with Chip. I'm gonna go with an 8 because I was entertained while watching it. It posed enough questions and answered enough questions kind of within the same episode that I was happy. And the pacing felt really good to me. And it did a good balancing act, I feel like, between comedy, action, and kind of a little bit of drama with the cafe scene, and making you feel sorry for the character of Stephen Grant as well. And also feeling sorry for him because even his own personalities don't like him. So it's just...
Such a loser. Even the people in his head don't like him.
Exactly. It makes you feel for him. So I thought it was a fairly well done episode. I can't give it above an 8 because I don't know enough about the character to know how accurate this is to the comics. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I can't give it lower because I was entertained.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to agree with Cody. I'm going to give it a 7. Mainly because it was the first episode, and I like to give a little bit of a room to grow. You know what I mean? Like, this was obviously not going to be the best episode of the series. It's not the worst episode, I'm sure, but it was, for me, it was about a 7 because I know that there's a lot more to come, and there will be a lot more fun, I think, to be had with this series. So. With 2 8s and 2 7s, or a 7 and 7.5, I would say that's about 7.5 out of 10 on my quick math skills, which are not very good. But yeah, again, I'm super stoked for next week, and to watch this episode again. Or the second episode. They have me hooked. They did a really good job of hooking me in, and I will be there. Probably Wednesdays when I wake up at 4 a.m. to watch it. Was there anything else that you guys wanted to talk about with the episode before we do our closing?
I think we covered it pretty well. Yeah, just in general, it was a pretty quick episode.
I did I did want to mention I almost forgot to mention. Like, did you think that the conversation he had with that little girl was interesting? But he's like explaining how when you die, your soul
Oh,
gets judged
and she
in a field
and
of
she
reeds, and she
asked
was like,
how it
was
felt when
that
you got
suck for
rejected.
you getting rejected?"
It's funny because when you guys mentioned that he had died and then got his powers, that makes a lot of sense. That
Yeah,
maybe
now
she
that
knows that he died and he
Because
was rejected.
I like
she
that he
might
questioned
not
it.
have been real. Like in one
Right.
of the series, like one of the other personalities is his inner child, and it literally is a little girl.
Interesting.
Hmm.
See, this I feel like this show's gonna be quite the mind fuck. Like by the end, you're gonna be like, "Oh my god, none of this even happened. He's been chained to his bed the whole time."
But if they pull a Legion on us, I don't even know.
I never finished Legion, so don't spoil that for me.
It's hard to finish that show, dude. Like you have to pay attention. Like that show
Right, and
is
that's why I did the first
really
season, and
cerebral.
I couldn't. I think I watched the first episode of the second, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is way too much to pay attention to."
Now that you mention that little girl, that does make a lot more sense. I mean, because he goes, "I'm not dead, am I?"
And then gets called away. He like gets
No.
immediately
Before
by
that,
somebody else.
he goes, "I'm not
Right.
dead, am I?"
But it was so like unless you had captions on, you didn't really hear it. It was a very subtle way that he said it.
Well, yeah, I
Because
watch
he
it with
gets called
captions on
from
all
his
the time.
boss. Oh,
Mhm.
me too. But like some people don't. Most people don't. I feel like normal people.
I have
don't
fucking
watch.
kids. I watch with captions on all the time because I can't hear the shit anyways.
I'm deaf.
Subtitles for life.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. But cool. I think this is gonna wrap up this first episode of Moon Knight. I'm very excited to go forward with it. Cody, if the lovely viewers out there would like to get more of you, is there a way they could do that?
I'm anonymous. Nope.
Okay,
No, I'm just
Chip.
joking. Yeah, I just don't use a lot of social media. So
Okay, for sure. Well, if you'd like to get a hold of Cody, you can hit us up on MCM_pod and we will relay the message. Chip, what about you? How can people get a hold of you on the socials? I know you're doing some more toy stuff on the Instagrams, right?
At Chip Hop Anonymous. Yeah, just sound it out.
Chip?
That's gonna
Chip
be
Hop?
on.
Chip Hop Anonymous?
Damn you! You gave him all the easy words.
I do want to point out that I gave you that nickname probably 3 years ago, so you're welcome for that.
It was a good one. Yeah, I was like, oh, that's it. Click.
I think we were playing Call of Duty or something, and
Something like that. Yeah.
Excellent. And then again, for Chip on Twitter, you can find him MCM_pod. Roy, you have a lot of stuff going on in the realm of the Intrepid DM. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
So my podcast started back up after a brief hiatus. I had a few guests drop out on me last second due to real life issues, and nothing. It happens. And also my remodel now that is done on the Intrepid cave behind me.
It looks wonderful, by the way.
Mhm.
But I started streaming again. You can catch me on Twitch at the Intrepid DM. I'm on Twitter at Intrepid DM. I started doing TikToks because of my 13-year-old son, which is a little weird, but I have actually found a moderate amount of success. I've only been doing it for like 2 weeks, and I'm already almost at 2,000 likes, and just on videos that I've done. I know it's not much, but I'm almost at 350 followers.
Roy's out here thirst trapping.
Yeah.
People like chubby bearded guys who tell stories, and that's me. I love to tell stories. So if you didn't know, you can find me on the Intrepid DM Journeys as well. It's a podcast by DMs for DMs, telling stories of how we became DMs and why we like little goblins.
Excellent. And all of that stuff that we just referenced can be found on our website, twistmyarm.net.
Mhm.
You can find MCM on there. You can find Sudden But Inevitable. You can find the original Twist My Arm podcast. You can find Quest Me. You can find Intrepid DM. Like all sorts of things on that website, twistmyarm.net. If you'd like to pick up a T-shirt or something, support the network, you can absolutely do that. Now that my life has kind of slowed down a little bit and things are back to a little bit of a normalcy. I hope. Geez, I keep saying that, and then something else fucking happens. But now that it's back to that, like I am going to be coming back with Quest Me. There'll be maybe some little musical interviews with local bands around Omaha. And obviously, Sudden But Inevitable will be here on Friday night. We're going to be talking about Freaks and Geeks for Ricky D's birthday. So, if
And
you'd like to
somehow
get
I didn't get
more on us-
invited to that.
Well, nobody got invited because it's a special episode with just the three of us.
That
because we
deals
don't do
with
those
D&D.
anymore. But no, again, you can find me on Twitter at TwistMyArmCast. You can find me on Facebook. Just search for Twist My Arm Podcast. Go to our website, twistmyarm.net. Find all those things there. You can watch all of our live videos on that website. You can find all of our live videos on YouTube, youtube.com/twistmyarmpodcast. Go ahead and smash that like button and hit that bell to receive notifications for when we go live. Yes, I remembered it. That's about all that I have for this week's episode. Yeah, so I guess I'll do a closeout. I'll just point at everyone. So with Marvel Canon Madness, my name is Josh.
Cody.
I'm
I
Chip.
point down.
Josh is not good with directionals. I'm the intrepid DM.
And we're gonna talk at you next week all about some more Moon Knight. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you soon, guys.